In a world saturated with superheroes trying to save the world, one action-packed 90s animation made its mark with a surprisingly short run. UltraForce is the best 90s animation you'll never see. Ultras, the superhuman heroes and villains, were enormously gifted individuals akin to the Marvel guys, but there was something so super cool about the Ultras that you find yourself instantly sucked into their world. The UltraForce team was a dynamo mix of a movie star, a young guy from a rough neighborhood, a 13-year-old who'd tune up into a giant, an undead ghoul, and a gorgeous psychic. If that isn't the most fascinating combo thrown in together, I don't know what is. The team's chemistry and clashes were some of the simplest, most relatable dynamics, such that when they turn on the Ultra mode with the unbridled action and battles, one couldn't help yelling out UltraForce, just like the electric backgrounds in the opening theme of the show. UltraForce had it all: coming-of-age stories, conflicts within the team, gang wars, and all sorts of emotional, down-to-earth plots that made it resonate with the viewers. So when Marvel bought out UltraForce only to shut it down sometime after, let's just say the fans weren't exactly ecstatic. Today, let us dial back the clock and revisit UltraForce, the heroes, the story, and the origins of this 90s gem. But before we get into it, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's go. Origin of the UltraForce. UltraForce was a 1995 animation series adapted from the comics published by Malibu, later taken over by Marvel. Talk about big things coming in small packages. This animated series ran a mere 13 episodes that are available for you to watch on YouTube right now. But with its high-octane action and ultra-charismatic heroes with their riveting backstories, it quickly gained popularity during an era chock full of comic stars. The Ultras were superheroes with special powers, and they had an enormously entertaining dynamic. The team, helmed by a strong leader, consisted of two teens, the lady captain of the ship and an undead psychic who will quickly become your new favorite ghost hero with a slew of sarcastic quips. UltraForce was an unapologetically awesome, testosterone-laced animation that, honestly, deserved a tad more of Marvel's attention. Unfortunately, it barely even registered a smidge on any animation fan's radar, as it was pulled soon after Marvel bought it out. Marvel's decision to dissolve the Ultraverse in 1997 came as a huge bummer. While it was probably just a business decision to focus on their established superheroes, soon to become live-action stars, as well as the changing political climate, we were still left to wonder what could have been. The Ultraverse run was axed short for some cryptic inside reasons, which Marvel seems to keep well under wraps. In 2003, Marvel was due to relaunch UltraForce, which had been one of their most successful short series with its main cast, but the idea was cut. Still, the fans carried a flickering torch, waiting for the Ultras to return until 2005, when Joe Quesada, the former editor-in-chief of Marvel, was questioned about the Ultraverse. He said that he wanted to bring the Ultras back in a big way, but it was really not possible to reprise the comic heroes. He added that this exclusion was not about sharing sale percentages with the Ultra's creative team. There was, instead, a much bigger hush-hush reason behind keeping the Ultras on the back burner, but he felt it was not his business to publicize Marvel's dirty laundry. Well, he left us in enough mystery to continue to wonder, WTF? But the Ultra fandom is all but dead, given the latest question over the Ultras was posed to Simon Spurrier, writer of the 2021 Black Knight series, hoping that the series would take place in the famed Ultraverse because of the brilliantly sick Black September story, in which the Black Knight arrives in the Ultraverse and teams up with the Ultras in the Infinity Gems debacle. Black Knight later led the Ultras and teamed up with the X-Men to eliminate the Phoenix Force. However, Spurrier quickly laid that story to rest, saying that it was not happening. Anyway, fam, today we are going to nosedive into the marvelous UltraVerse and give you a taste of what you've been missing. UltraForce animated series. UltraForce started with a bang, all action from scene 1, and that is also how it ended. While the series is predominantly an action-adventure, I was surprised at how much brave side characters sacrificed their lives for the greater good, and villains ranging from vampires to a hulkish Prime unhinged the scales. I was grinning happily throughout my watch. While I will not spoil the series for you, I will get you clued into the first 5 episodes to introduce the characters and show you what it's all about. First off, let me tell you, if you're going to watch UltraForce, you've got to strap in from the very first moment of the 20-odd minutes long first episode. The opening theme itself is a banger with the most 90s sound that you could possibly imagine. It's too unlimited crossed with the 97 X-Men intro, and it literally got me to sit up and gear in for the fireworks. Episodes 1 to 3 introduce us to the Ultras and how they come together to form the UltraForce. We get well acquainted with our Ultras, their personalities and their powers through the challenges they face with Attilan's maniacal obsession with conquering the world. Before we get into the real meat of the story, here's a quick rundown of the stars of the show. Hardcase. Hardcase is the quasi-leader of the group. He is the most experienced Ultra and had previously been on a team called The Squad. Hardcase had hung up his boots and superhero costume for a bit to act in films and is now a movie star. But as a battle between the good guys and a bad Ultra called NME heats up, he gets back into action. Hardcase is also the only one Prime trusts with his little secret. And what secret is that? Let us find out ahead with our next Ultra. Prime. Kevin Green is a 13-year-old kid who starts spitting green goo when he's excited and turns into the huge, super strong superhero called Prime. While Prime is the strongest Ultra out there, he is also the most immature, and understandably so. I mean, only Hardcase is aware of Prime's true form. Prime often goes hammer and tongs with Prototype, who is the second youngest in the Force. Prototype. Jimmy Ruiz is a cocky but good-hearted fella who works for UltraTech. UltraTech is a defense tech corp that has suited him up with the Prototype supersuit with thrusters and shooting tech, giving Jimmy the name Prototype. Jimmy starts out as a super strong guy, but without any special powers, except what his suit gives him through the subdermal implants they have drilled into his skin up at UltraTech. However, he realizes his electric emission and control powers in the series. His spat with Prime is a common theme throughout the series, and it's a lot of fun watching them go. Contrary. Contrary is the mysterious captain of a ship that the Ultras often operate out of. She is as wise as she is beautiful, speaks with the sultriest inflections you've ever heard, and can hypnotize a person with her touch for an uncertain amount of time. For reasons I do not fully understand, she is always sitting in this big mechanical chair that drifts off into wherever she wants it to go. She can walk just fine, so I wonder if the chair is like a homage to Professor X. Her ship is state-of-the-art. She can teleport people to and fro with it and also give the Ultras all of the tech support they need to operate outside in the field. Ghoul. Once a dead man, Ghoul is now a supernatural Ultra. Being the undead has not stopped him from being one of the most valuable members of the team, even though his bones and grime patch-up work body is relatively frail. He is a psychic who can touch objects and gain information about their origins or past, and he also gets premonitions about the future. He can summon the spirits of the dead and talk with them, but the best part is, he can be funny and sweet, grave and caring, all in the same beat. This quickly made him one of my favorite characters on the show. Pix. Contrary's ship resident tech girl, Pix, shows her mettle early on in the series by saving the day, but sadly also getting overwhelmed by radiation poisoning and sacrificing herself. Topaz. Topaz is the warrior queen of Gwendor, who has got mistakenly dropped on Earth through a faulty wormhole, as far as I could tell. Topaz has a keen distaste for men, as men are considered inferior on her planet, and she never holds back on the based one-liners for the guys in UltraForce. She wields an energized staff and is prouder than a tyrant. She does come around and begins to respect the Ultras through the course of the series, but always maintains a stiff exterior. Adelon. Adelon is a subterranean tribal leader of the Fire People who dreams of taking over the surface world and subjugating humans. He's very much on the same thinking plane as every other power-hungry psycho out there like Darkseid or Thanos, except that his playing field is the surface of Earth and its pits. Unlike the New Gods or the Eternals, his powers are born of Earth. All the same though, Adelon can create fierce energy blasts, which are too much for any one Ultra to handle alone, and sometimes even all of them together. Although he uses just about anything to get his way. Lies, deceit, what have you. NME. NME was the first Ultra bad guy to pop up on screen, causing all kinds of destruction. NME is this robotic dino shark man who is always in Terminator mode. It was funny when I first saw Hardcase flying to get him. He repeatedly called out, "Enemy!" and I was like, wait, what? Does Hardcase just go around mouthing "enemy" every time he locks in on a bad guy? But of course, I soon realized that that's actually his name. NME is a super durable metal-built Ultra with launchers and firearms built into 2 of his 4 arms. It was he who killed most of Hardcase's former team, the Squad, which is why Hardcase hates him oh so much. Alright, so after the flying start the series got with the Ultras going against Adelon, we got a brand new and bizarre villain, Lord Pumpkin. Lord Pumpkin. Pump, or Lord Pumpkin, yes folks, that is his real name, is an infamous drug lord who has ticked off the city gangs by dealing out of the highly addictive pods called the Zook. Pump is like a spooky Halloween prop come alive in a slick purple fit. He has a wooden body and a pumpkin head with a candle inside. Pump grows the Zook, a bunch of grapes from a predatory vine plant that seems to have a mind of its own. The Zook is only kept tame by the candles Pump has put all around it. Pump has to eventually go into an all-out war for supremacy with rival gangs. Pistol, a nasty young kid with a taste for blood, is his right-hand man, and Sludge, a former cop who is now a melting giant, also hooked on the Zook, does all his heavy lifting. Alright, let us take a look at how it all began. Prime Time, Episode 1. After the electronic rock intro theme, which will be the catchiest thing you'll hear all week, the episode opens with Hardcase's reflections about the past, his team being killed by Enemy, the robotic dino face terror. Enemy is back to his old ways in real time, too. This time, he is attacking the US military's nuclear bases. Enemy looks impervious to the soldiers' weapons, but Hardcase gets there soon enough to battle his old nemesis. Meanwhile, the 13-year-old Kevin watches Hardcase and Enemy going at it on the news. He gets fired up and some green goo drowns him until he emerges as the super strong and big Ultra Prime. He flies off with his red cape in the wind to join the fight against Enemy. In another part of town, Jimmy tries out the new suit Ultratech has got for him. He puts it on, becomes Prototype, and joins the party with Hardcase and Prime. Now, Enemy is an overwhelming beast. He brings it hard to Prime and Hardcase until Prototype gets there and saves them from a sticky spot. Being a cocky young dude, he schmoozes on about it too, kicking off the beginning of a long competitive row between Prime and himself. A sudden earthquake pulls the nuclear missiles underground into Attilan's world. Attilan, the king of the fire people, is enemy's master. He is trying to steal enough missiles to wage a full-on war against humanity. The Ultras are beamed into Contrary's ship, where they meet Ghoul and Pix. Pix, Contrary's tech girl, works out that Attilan is going to hit Hawaii next, and so the Ultras fly up to Hawaii. In Hawaii, Ghoul finds a dead soldier's dog tag and looks into its past, sensing Attilan. Deep underground, we watch the Fire People's unrest with Attilan's violent ways. They are unsure that their king's world dominion plans would work out well for their tribe. Attilan watches Ghoul with his cool handheld security cam thingy and wants to capture him for his psychic powers. Then, Attilan emerges from the deep onto the Earth's surface and launches a swarm of missiles at human cities. The episode ends on this "what next?" cliffhanger. The Stuff of Heroes, Episode 2. This episode shows the Ultras coming together as a team while Attilan strives to get the Fire People to back up his insanity. As Attilan launches his war on humanity, Gozma, a lieutenant of the Fire People, tries to rein him in. The Fire People do not want a brutal war. Attilan waves her off but plans to capture Ghoul to prove to them that war is what their great ancestors wanted. As the armed nukes set off by Attilan fly around everywhere, Prime pays no heed to Hardcase's warning and flies off to stop the missiles, tearing a hole through Contrary's ship on his way out. Contrary teleports him right back into her ship and psych freezes a piping Prime. This sequence is a good reminder that you're back into the 90s style of things, and a lot of stuff will get broken and ripped without elaborate explanations and fixing up after, just for the fun of it. Pix retrieves the recall code and recalls most of the missiles, but 3 are still on target. Prime snaps out of the hypnosis and promptly flies off to undo the missile headed for Alaska. Prototype goes after the Berlin-bound missile, and Contrary, Pix, and Ghoul after the one headed for Singapore. Pix figures out how to disarm the nukes and shares the trick with Proto, but Prime is still going in without a plan. He blows up the missile in the sky, and Hardcase ends up saving Prime's butt after he takes a fall. Meanwhile, Ghoul has a disturbing premonition of Pix wilting into a husk. Okay, it's time for Topaz's entry, and what an entry it is. Topaz falls into a packed football stadium from a schism in the sky and is confused as hell by the helmeted, padded guys on the field. She yells, "Hi, yi, 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 yi," and starts flinging the team around like frisbees. Honestly, it is impossible not to chuckle at the old-school kung fu cry. Contrary beams Topaz onto the ship. Hardcase, Prime, and Prototype are distracted by enemy while Attilan seizes Ghoul. Hardcase watches Prime shed his size and become the 13-year-old Kevin, but he assures him his secret is safe with him. Kevin finds a new life with Hardcase's trust and begins to follow his lead. Hardcase, Prime, and Proto get to Contrary's ship, where Topaz gets riled at the sight of them. She absolutely loathes men. She even shoots at them with her energized staff, ripping some more holes in the ship. I mean, I don't know how Pix and Contrary keep this thing together, really. Anyhow, they get her under control, and everyone comes together for the first time with a vow to take down Attilan. The UltraForce is born. Attilan, too, vows to make a second missile attack, which will be greater than the first. His guys are bringing Ghoul in, and he greets him with some colorful names, calling him Rancid One, Wretched One, and so on. Verbal abuse aside, he has a special task for Ghoul that will bring him the favor of his disenchanted people. Armageddon, Episode 3. The entire turmoil between Attilan and the Ultras comes down to this episode. Attilan takes Ghoul to the chamber of the old kings of the Fire People and asks him to wake their souls. He wants their blessing so he may prove to his tribe that his warpath to supremacy is the only way for them. Ghoul uses his powers to awaken King Abazel, but the king and his dead generals rouse up in anger. They are not impressed with Adelon's cold ambition and command him to stop. But as they go to sleep, Adelon returns to his fire tribe and lies to them, telling them that the old kings support his war. Now, the US military has come alive again. A joint military force approaches Adelon's island, raining missiles upon it. But they had grossly underestimated Adelon's power, as he uses his force fields to reverse the missiles back on the soldiers, crushing their ships. At this point, the UltraForce gets going. They save the soldiers, deflecting the missiles as well as sharks with their bare hands. It's awesome. However, soon they come face to face with Adelon. They fight his tribal soldiers and him with some aid from Contrary's ship. But Adelon raises a wave from the sea, and it engulfs the ship. Prototype dives in and saves the girls. They quickly repair the ship and regroup. Pix finds the spot where Adelon is storing the nukes, and besides her inexperience, Pix is chosen to disarm the warheads. She is super excited to finally be part of the action, unaware of the tragedy that awaits her. Deep underneath the Earth's surface, though, Adelon ups his assault, nuking cities from under instead of the sky, launching a warhead every 30 seconds. Prototype, Hardcase, and Topaz bring the fight to Adelon, distracting him enough so Pix may sneak into his lair. She meets Ghoul in there just as an eruption shatters the underground cave, cracking up some missiles, causing a radiation leak. Pix starts working on the mainframe regardless of the leak. Ghoul tries to get her out, as he had foreseen her turning into a lifeless husk, but she shuts Ghoul out of the chamber and keeps on working. The radiation poisoning turns Pix into the vision Ghoul had seen, but she disarms all the missiles. Adelon is livid and comes down hard on the Ultras. Topaz tries to take him, but he is much too powerful. Ghoul uses his powers to summon the dead Fire King Abazel's soul again. He comes in like a storm and subsumes Adelon as he tells the Fire People that humans and them must make amends. The Fire People stand down. Contrary assures Gozma that she has arranged a meeting in the White House for the Fire People to begin assimilating with humans. The end is bittersweet, as young Pix's courageous sacrifice binds the team closer together. Lord Pumpkin's Pie, Episode 4. With the end of the Adelon storyline, UltraForce takes a new tone. Episode 4 gets us deeper into Prototype's world, his insecurities, and his past. We see Prime and Prototype zipping around the sky and having a go at each other. Prime believes Prototype isn't a real Ultra, as he has no extraordinary powers. The phone goes off to cut this melee short, and it's Proto's mom. She sounds distressed, and he immediately rushes to her. He tells his Ultratech boss he's taking a break and flits off to his home. Upon reaching there, he gets out of the suit and becomes Jimmy again. His mom fills him in. Something's gone seriously wrong with the boys in the neighborhood. As Jimmy meets his friends, he realizes his mom was right. They have all become huge, muscle-bound, and super aggressive. He tries to reach out to his closest old boy, Hector, but Hector is the same as the rest. They are all hooked on Zook, which swells up their body and makes them hostile. All of a sudden, a limo drives by and shoots at them. They are Marcello's men, the resident gangster of the place. Jimmy visits Marcello to warn him, but he's surprised to find his ex, Rita, there. Marcello welcomes him and tries to make a deal with him. He wants Jimmy to deliver Pump, the guy dealing with the Zook, in exchange for Marcello restoring the neighborhood's peace. Jimmy refuses, but Rita follows him. She is trying so hard to cozy up with him that one can already tell she's up to something. Now Pump, or Lord Pumpkin, is the new mobster on the block, and his Zook is a hit. He finds Prototype and ambushes him, striking him out into a dumpster. But as he lies there, an electric charge lights up his body. As Jimmy returns to his senses, he wants to take care of things and prove to himself that he doesn't need his suit. He approaches his friends without his suit to get info on Pump. When they begin to brawl, Jimmy defeats them easily. As Hector's Zook wears off, he becomes himself again and gives Jimmy Pump's location. Back at Lord Pumpkin's place, Pump gives some Zook pods to Sludge, who stops dripping and can't talk properly again, but its effects wear off pretty quick and he's back to needing more. This is exactly what Pump has envisioned. He wants to get the entire city under his control, making it a pumpkin pie, as he calls it. But first, he has to get past Marcello. Marcello follows Jimmy, who is headed for Pump's, and they both get into his spot at the same time. Marcello hurls out an assault, but Pumpkin has some crazy powers no one has seen yet. Pumpkin shoots the green Zook-like stuff all over Marcello's limo, drowning it within. Marcello's men and Jimmy fall into an underground sewage tunnel for an insane standoff, which ends with Jimmy going electric. We begin to see Jimmy's powers take shape as he lies there, circled by a pool of electricity. You Can't Go Home Again, Episode 5. Will Jimmy ever join the Ultras again? Oh yes, he will, and as a real Ultra, no less. As the electric charge consumes Jimmy's body, Lord Pumpkin Zook becomes even more potent. Pump is chuffed because he feels Jimmy's energy would make the Zook more addictive, but Jimmy's electric field gets so intense that it blows up the whole sewer. We find out Marcello's real motives on the other side of town. He has got some live Zook and wants to be the only one to control it by eliminating Pump. He plans on organizing all of the Southside gangs to take down Pump. Back in Pump's camp, there's tension between Pistol and Sludge. Sludge isn't an inherently bad guy. His ex-cop past is always at odds with his Zook addict present. As Pump tries to feed Jimmy to the snaking Zook vine in order to create the most addictive substance in the history of human stupidity, Sludge finds a way to overcome his addiction misery and skips over to Jimmy's side. Rita reveals her two-faced, deceiving nature by helping Pump find Marcello's men and kill them. We see some crazy Pump powers here as he goes absolute Halloween mode, sending a rotating pumpkin with bats flying around at Marcello's thugs. Rita makes a deal with Pump to help him get Prototype to finish off the Southside gangs. In return, she wants Marcello's full share of the drug trade and half of Pumpkin's too. Wow, not asking much, hey Rita? Surprisingly, Pump agrees, but we get a feeling that he's not a stickler for keeping his word. Jimmy's new friend, Sludge, who was once a cop named Frank Hogg, warns Jimmy against Rita, but the girl seems to have seeped under his skin. When he sees her all tied up at Pump's mercy, he does what Pump asks and clashes with the Southside gangs. The other Ultras watch the brawl on TV and rush to Proto's side. As the Ultras fly in and shut down just about everybody, Marcello's men actually take a moment to appreciate the spectacle. "This is better than the movies," one of them remarks. Jimmy captures Pistol and exchanges him for Rita from Pump. But as Rita breaks free, her facade slips. Of course, Pump never planned on sharing a single penny with her. Jimmy kills Pump by extinguishing the candle wick inside his pumpkin head, but he is shocked to find out about Rita's deal with the drug lord. Rita is hella bitter. She walks away in handcuffs without any remorse as the police finally arrive to take stock of the gang war. Prototype gets back with the Ultras, this time much more confident with his new electric superpowers. Another hard-fought day in the life of the Ultras comes to a close. Star rating, 3 out of 5. UltraForce is aptly named, not just for its superheroes, but also for how fun the series is. It is totally worth the screen time you will spend on it. For our rating, we will give this animation a solid 3 stars out of 5. While the series has few memorable villains, Enemy and Pump leading that charge, it comes with a huge dose of powerful heroes, each with their own unique personalities that consistently play a part in their journey. The younger Ultras mean well, but do not always judge the situations and people correctly. The seasoned hardcase is seen as compassionate and reasonable, but often needs saving by Prime or Proto, and Contrary remains a mystery through and through. The series stays even and honest with the characters. Their superpowers, though generic, are used really well within the challenges they face. UltraForce is one of the best 90s animations, though too short-lived to gain a serious foothold in the animation scene for reasons unexplained. Marvelous verdict. The 90s had a flair for the heroes and villains being able to accomplish the impossible with surprise powers like manifesting caped suits out of thin air and handling nuclear missiles at full speed with their bare hands. There were unexplained things in animation, even action movies, and the good guys could do some things simply because, well, they were the good guys. And I don't know about you, but I am all for it. The best comparison I can draw for the Ultras would be the mutants in X-Men. And while hardcore Marvel and DC fans might find nothing new in the Ultraverse in terms of superhero powers, there is something very different and unabashedly cool about the Ultras. It's hard to put a finger on exactly why they pop, so I would recommend you go watch it for yourself. The episodes are short, and the show is for everyone. There are but rare instances of adult themes, and the action is just cartoonish enough to be enjoyed by both kids and adults. I actually wouldn't mind watching it again and exploring the comics too. Well, that'll be our take on UltraForce, fam. If you like this video, please smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Much appreciated. Stay safe out there. Bye for now.